Hey, it's me, Skyblue, and the year 2016 has almost come to an end. Now, let's be honest here. This year has been pretty rough to most of us. There were certain things that made us feel angry, there were other things that made us feel sad. However, there were also certain events or things that happened this year that were actually pretty awesome. So let's dive right into it. Scientists have found a way to edit DNA to cure genetic disorders. A New Mexico-based corporation called Arcospace has actually invented a hoverboard. A man risked his life to save a young deer after it fell through the ice covering a freezing Minnesota river. A complete stranger proved to be the perfect match for an Illinois woman. He donated part of his liver for a transplant, and they both eventually got engaged. Boston has reduced veteran homelessness by 85%, housing 533 vets in 18 months. Moby has opened a vegan restaurant called The Little Pine, and he has announced that every nickel they made would be donated to organizations such as the Human Society, Mercy for Animals, Farm Sanctuary, Sea Shepherd, and PETA. A sharp-eyed tennis player thought that umpire's decision in his favor was wrong, so he told his opponent to challenge the call. His honesty cost him the match, but won the heart of fans. Plans for Afghanistan's first all-women's university has been unveiled by the country's First Lady Rula Ghani. The United Kingdom has people banding together over the garden fence to save the country's favorite little spiny critters by carving tiny holes in the bottom of those fences and thus creating the so-called hedgehog highways. Two staples of the make-believe world of children's toys are finally reflecting real-life diversity. Lego has added its first minifigure in a wheelchair, and Barbie will add some curves as well as several different skin tones. European polecats, once pushed to the brink of extinction in the UK, are making a surprising comeback across Great Britain. More than 2,000 women used crochet hooks to join together blankets and shatter a world record, while at the same time creating a patchwork that will keep thousands of people warm in their beds. Students awaiting test scores in the mail might have been worrying about how well they did, but when the students of the Harmony Hill Primary School tore open the results, they received words of reassurance from their school, a life lesson for the future. An 82-year-old woman has finally found her long-lost 96-year-old birth mother. You may be educated on the history of World War II and the Holocaust, but have you heard about the unsung Islamic heroes who saved lives? In a campaign to shine a light on the massacres of one of the largest genocides in history, I Am Your Protector hosted events in several cities around the world to commemorate Muslims on International Holocaust Day for their services. A Massachusetts group is letting Mother Nature make house calls, bringing its healing power to people who don't have opportunities to go outside. The wild tiger population in Thailand is on the rise again thanks to heightened protections. There has been a population of 150 wild wolves in eastern Germany, and another 50 are roaming in western parts of the country, meaning that wild wolves are bouncing back from extinction in Europe. A scientific study shows that mindfulness meditation really does reduce stress and rewire the brain to be less reactive. Researchers from MIT, Harvard, and University College London have found a way to locate unique markings within a cancerous tumor that allows the body's immune system to target the disease, and hope to test it in 2 years' time. In response to the successful recovery of one of the nation's most iconic animals, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service proposed to remove the grizzly bear in the Greater Yellowstone ecosystem from the federal list of endangered and threatened wildlife. In a new survey taken from the northern parts of the Sumatran jungle, the population count of the native orangutan clocked in at 14,600 apes, more than double the original estimate. The blueberry, already known to be a superfruit for its power to potentially lower the risk of heart disease and cancer, also could be insurance for a brain against Alzheimer's disease. New research presented by scientists bolsters the idea that this fruit, loaded with helpful antioxidants, could help prevent the devastating effect of this common form of dementia. In the early stages of Alzheimer's disease, patients are often unable to remember recent experiences. However, a new study from MIT suggests that those memories are still stored in the brain, that just can't be easily accessed. Trees have made a stunning comeback across New England, branching out to take over millions of acres of former farmland and leading to a wildfire resurgence unlike anywhere else in the country. An 11-year-old girl has turned her grandmother's flaxseed lemonade recipe into a national business, and she is donating 10% of the proceeds to saving honeybees. Schools all over Massachusetts are boosting student health and performance with a policy that gives youth an extra hour of sleep. New census data are showing that the population of wild tigers are 20% higher than in 2010. Scientists are one step closer to male birth control pills without the side effects. The Tusk Mountains, a prime snow leopard habitat in the country's South Gobi province, got turned into a nature reserve. More than 80 kids have shaved their heads to support a girl with cancer to return to school. A police officer gave a homeless couple of 3 years a fairy tale wedding. A grandson has created a video reminder of a 70-year-old marriage so that his grandfather with Alzheimer's will never forget it. A blind child had actually the chance to see his mother for the very first time, and he also called her pretty too. 33 lions were freed from circuses, and they all returned back to their African birthright. A child piano prodigy has proven that autism is not a roadblock. A student who was born without hands has actually won a handwriting competition. A 14-year-old member of one of the rarest mammal species on the planet gave birth to a female calf at the Sumatran Rhino Sanctuary in the Indonesian National Park home at May 12. Brad Pitt has saved the life of a young girl by pulling her out from his fan mob. A teenage girl has overcome her years of depression with help of horses that could tell whether she's upset or happy. A little boy who is sometimes bullied for his dwarfism has found confidence thanks to a new dog that happens to have the exact same condition. A 7-year-old child who has to sit in a wheelchair has received a wheelchair-accessible treehouse. Girls Without Fathers still had a date for a daddy-daughter dance thanks to the members of the Chicago Police Department. Disney World has donated $1 million to the victims of the Orlando shooting. And so did Christina Aguilera by donating all the sales of her song Change to the shooting victims. And as it turns out, art really can reduce stress, even after just 45 minutes. Speaking of emotional facts, according to new research looking at the effects of melancholy songs on the emotions, sad songs can actually provide comfort to some people. Andrew Lloyd Webber has donated $1.3 million for arts education in US schools. About 100 underprivileged children were invited to the Dallas Cowboys football stadium for a giant overnight sleepover party. The rate of Americans dying through a heart disease has been plummeted by 70%. The profit from sales of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf will now go to the Holocaust survivors. Inmates had broken out of jail to save the life of an officer who was guarding them. A new adult coloring book was designed to inspire anyone in recovery. Educators from across the US gather around in Cambridge, Massachusetts to have kids teaching them about kindness. The National Institutes of Health has announced their major efforts to cure HIV. A children's hospital has used Pokemon Go to get patients excited and out of bed. After a century of constant decline, the number of wild tigers is on the rise. According to a 2016 report, the tiger population, estimated to be 3,206 years ago, has grown to 22%. New research suggests that if you have bipolar disorder, depression, or trouble sleeping, it may help to wear amber-tinted glasses at night. These orange shades block blue light, which the body uses to adjust the biological clock to control sleeping and many other functions. A homeless community cleaned up 24 tons of trash in San Jose. The woman Jessica Bean prepared for the worst due to a lifelong struggle with cystic fibrosis and married her childhood sweetheart when she thought that there was no hope for her condition. She then, however, made a miraculous recovery after laying off the sugar. The Louisiana black bear is the state mammal of Louisiana, and it is one of 16 subspecies of the American black bear. By 1980, more than 80% of the Louisiana black bear's habitat had been modified or destroyed. However, the mammal was removed from the list of threatened and endangered wildlife under the Endangered Species Act due to recovery. Sean Diddy Camp has opened a new Harlem charter school in New York City. Scientists have announced that the star closest to the sun has a planet similar to the Earth, which also makes it the closest possibly habitable alien planet ever found. There were 3 retail workers who used their billing skills to help a sick baby walk. A woman who was abandoned in a phone booth 20 years ago as a baby has reunited with the man who saved her life. A mysterious cat has rescued an injured tourist from the Swiss mountains. Costa Rica has been powered only by renewable energy since this summer. A letter written by the beloved naturalist and television personality Steve Irwin expressing his gratitude towards his parents was recently discovered only 10 years after his death. The International Union for Conservation of Nature has announced the upgrade to the giant panda status, pointing to a 17% rise in the population in the decade up to 2014. The US Environmental Protection Agency has started accepting bids to assess and plan a $1 billion cleanup of abandoned uranium mines on Navajo reservations. New research has indicated that the atmospheric acidity levels have almost returned to a low similar to those of the 1930s. Thanks to the massive amount of surplus tax revenue from state marijuana sales, over $66 million were distributed to Colorado schools through a grant program for bully prevention. There were 2 critically endangered black rhinos who have welcomed 2 newborn cows. A man has saved a dog from a rising elevator just in time. A photographer has captured a meteor, lava, and Milky Way in one single shot. A baby elephant has rushed into a river to rescue her human trainer, even though he wasn't even in danger. According to News Statics, more American high school graduates are punctually getting their diplomas than ever before. Thanks to conservational efforts and sustainable lumbering practices, America has more trees now than it had since the 1920s. A woman was surprised to find her stolen car returned with gas money and a nice note. A man has climbed a building with his bare hands to save a dangling child. There was a quartet of paralyzed musicians who had played music with only their minds. UK branches of the American retailer Toys R Us had opened their stores 1 hour early so kids and adults on the autism spectrum could enjoy browsing the shelves without the distraction of bright lights or loud noises. Smoking cigarettes is the leading cause of preventable diseases in the USA. Thankfully, more and more American smokers are quitting the harmful habit every year. New Jersey has become the first state that bans the declawing of cats. A group of Tennessee women, who call themselves the Bag Ladies, have crocheted themselves a niche where they can help the homeless and save the environment at the same time. They are collecting plastic bags and turning them into sleeping mats using kindness and crocheted hooks. Scientists in South Africa are ready to kick off the nation's largest and most advanced human trial for an HIV vaccine, with results expected in 2020. A woman called Karen Mitchell had come all the way from Indiana in hopes that she could somehow get a remaining ticket for a baseball game. When her hopes were dashed, however, Karen spotted none other than Bill Murray walking through the crowd. She followed him a bit until the movie star turned around and offered her a ticket. Spain gets rid of fascist-named streets to honor women instead. A new study shows a sharp decline in suicides at Veterans Affairs inpatient mental health units from 2000 to 2015, thanks to the mental health environment of care checklist. A couple has adopted 5 siblings on National Adoption Day so that they won't be separated. A new technology has been developed that uses nuclear waste to generate electricity in a nuclear-powered battery. A company called Liftware has created a robotic spoon that allows disabled people to eat with more control. The Kansas City Community Kitchen in Missouri has been serving low-income families and the homeless community for over 30 years. But starting in February, the center hired volunteer waiters and hosts so that they could serve the hungry like a restaurant. The black rights activist Viola Desmond is going to be one of the first women on the Canadian dollar bill. The slaughter of canines has officially been banned in South Korea's largest dog meat market. Hearing loss among US adults aged 20 to 69 has declined over the last decade, even as the number of older Americans continues to grow. Safe Streets is an organization in Baltimore that uses ex-cons to de-escalate street conflicts in 5 different neighborhoods. Since no one knows the heartbreak of gang violence better than the ones who are locked up in the first place, the program has groundbreaking success in the community. And homicides are plummeting thanks to the ex-con patrolling Baltimore streets. Bill Gates has announced a $1 billion fund for new technology that is geared towards the climate change. The Indian primary school Shiksha Gudi is being praised for its unique environmental initiative that asks students' parents to plant trees instead of pay tuition. The Californian town Mountain View is offering free college courses for residents and workers. France has opened the world's first environmental-friendly solar road. Daryl Davis is a black blues musician who has traveled the country for the last 30 years befriending members of the Ku Klux Klan. This mission is not out of any sort of misplaced empathy with the organization's racism. The 58-year-old believes that when Klansmen actually sit down and talk with a black man, they will find that their hatred is misplaced. And he's usually right. So, as you can see, the year 2016 wasn't nearly as bad as you previously thought it was. It was a pretty problematic year, for sure. However, I think sometimes we should appreciate the little things more than we usually do. Because sometimes it's the little things that matter. And you know what? I wish every one of you, the members of T97, the fans, anyone who's watching the video really, I wish all of you happy holidays and a happy new year.